Well, howdy there, guys. Welcome back to Stu MTG. Do not mind the sound of laundry in the background and my cup of thankfulness coffee. With that, today's deck is Shadrix Silverquil, a 5-mana 2/5 flying double strike Elder Dragon. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may choose two. Each mode must target a different player. Target player creates a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying. Target player draws a card and loses life, and target player puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature they control. I love the double strike on this, but I also like, and the way that I went with Shadrix Silverquill is Inkling Tribal. Now, you guys may know, there ain't a whole lot for Inkling Tribal. And this is about it, other than the cards that I do not own or have. We have Umbral Juke, 3 mana to create a Inkling. Another Inkling summoning, 3 mana to make another Inkling. We have the enchantment, Dramatic Finale. Creature tokens get +1/+1, and whenever one or more non-token creatures die, you get an Inkling, only one per turn. They love to do that to us Commander players. Only once per turn. And lastly, we have Ink Shield. 5 mana, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to you this turn, and for each damage prevented, create an Inkling. That is the extent to the Inkling Tribal. So you gotta ask yourself, okay, Chris, how are you gonna defend yourself if not with just Inklings? Well, we have good old Will-o'-the-Wisp. I was out of my revised versions of Will-o'-the-Wisp, or else it would have went in here. Next up, we have Killian, Ink Duelist, to help reduce the removal costs for a removal suite. We also have Leech Fanatic. I also went with the creatures and other instants and sorceries that kind of had this Inkling art in it. So this isn't necessarily a very powerful deck, but it certainly is fun. We also have Selfless Glyph Weaver. We also have Shadewing Laureate, 3 mana 2/2 flyer. Whenever another creature you control with flying dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. We have Silverquill Pledgemate, 3 mana 3/1 with Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, Silverquill Pledgemate gains your choice of flying or lifelink. And we have the Pringle Chip of Pringle Chips in this deck. Bless me. We have Felisa, Fang of Silverquill, a 4 mana 3/2 with flying and mentor. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, if it had counters on it, create X tapped 2/1 Inkling creature tokens with flying, where X is the number of counters that had on it. And lastly, if you're in a black deck, you can't help but have a Gary. Next, we'll move on how to pay for some of this stuff, as well as some of our utility artifacts. There's been a series of graveyard decks in my meta. So Tormod's Crypt, Expedition Map to get some lands, Soul Ring, Sentinel Totem, same thing as targeted for the graveyard, Arcane Signet, Orzhov Signet, Mind Stone, Burnished Heart to get some lands, Commander Sphere. Letter of Acceptance was included there because this is really a theme deck, and it fits the theme of what Magic tried to make Hogwartsy. And lastly, Solemn Simulacrum. We have a variety of miscellaneous control items and things that kind of fit the aesthetic, like Lash of Malice, Revival and Revenge. I don't normally use the Revival portion. Normally I use the Revenge to double my life total, and target permanent loses half their life rounded up. Death Grasp is a great if I got a bunch of mana sitting around. X damage target creature or player, and I gain that much life. Unbreakable Formation to protect my creatures. Harsh Sustenance deals X damage target creature or player, and I gain X life, where X is the number of creatures I control. We've got Exhilarating Elucation, which I'm not doing today. 4 mana, put 2+1/+1 counters on a creature you control. Other creatures I control get +1/+1 until end of turn. And lastly, we have Bond of Discipline. 5 mana, tap all creatures your opponents control, and creatures I control get lifelink until end of turn. Most players do not see that one coming. We have a variety of enchantments to help us along our way. We have Cleric Class, because there is some incidental life gain. Feast of the Victorious Dead to move around some of those counters. We have Invasion of New Capenna. Also Intangible Virtue to buff up those Inklings. Inspiring Leader, once again, to buff up our tokens. Life Insurance, just in case my creatures die. And Debtor's Knell to get some of those out of the graveyard. We have some interesting card draw in the form of Wishclaw Talisman, Sign in Blood, Painful Lesson, Read the Bones, Funeral Rites, Foreboding Fruit, Blood Pact, Secret Rendezvous, and Ancient Craving. And lastly, before our non-basic lands, we have our removal suite. We have Fracture, Disenchant, Feed the Swarm, Despark, Lapse of Certainty, Unmake, Mortify, Vindicate, Utter End, Kaya's Wrath, Closing Statement, Merciless Eviction, and Rise of Extus. So far, before we get to our non-basic lands, this deck is, I think, 3 and 5 right now of the games it has played, whether it's one-on-one or in a pot of 3. I haven't had games of pods of 4 in quite some time. But like I said, it's about 3 out of 5. Because the heavy removal and the flying Inklings tend to, unless there's flying in my opponent's decks, just decimate my opponent. And for non-basic lands, we've got Ballroom, Sunlit Marsh, Orzhov Basilica, Snowfield Sinkhole, Caves of Koilos, Rogue's Passage, Shine Shadow Snarl, Forsaken Sanctuary, Forlorn Flats, Temple of Silence, Silverquil Campus, Command Tower, and a cycling land with Secluded Steppe. Now, just as a side note, I know in the last video I said I'm avoiding tap lands if I can. I was getting really low on my Orzhov untapped lands. So even with that, this deck is still done quite well. I think if I was able to go all untapped lands, it would speed it up that much more. But if you guys have any suggestions, maybe some Inkling cards I missed, or some suggestions on cards to take out and cards to put in, please do so in the comments down below. This has been Stewie MTG, and I'll catch y'all later.